And that's because the orbit of the sun relative to the plane that the Earth orbits in is tilted by about 5 degrees. So if you imagine two hula hoops, right, and then you move one of the hula hoops and by 5 degrees, you'll see they only actually intersect twice. And so that's when you'll get an eclipse. So you'll get an eclipse around about spring or maybe around about the autumn. And a total solar eclipse only happens around every 18 months or so. And that's because...
Somewhere in the world.
Somewhere in the world, right. Yeah, somewhere in the world. And that's because the sun, not only do they have to line up, but the sun and the Earth changes just very slightly because it's not a perfectly circular orbit. And so what we're having right now is a really, really great eclipse because the sun is actually really, so the moon is really quite close to the sun.
Mm-hmm. Interesting.
Right.
Tell me about what folks are going to see when the eclipse happens in totality where they are. We hear these terms kind of thrown out there like a diamond ring and Bailey's beads. What are these different terms and how do we see them?
That's right. So there's a few stages to the eclipse. So what we'll have first is first contact. So that you'll have the moon, like we say there, so the moon is just starting to take a bite out of the sun, and that will slowly fill up the sun's disk. And just before totality, what you'll see are something called Bailey's beads. And that's because the moon has mountains, it has structure. And so as the sunlight, the last bits of the sunlight peeks through those mountains, you'll see little flashes, and it won't be a perfect circle, you'll see different flashes. And the final Bailey's beads you'll see is what we call the diamond rings. You'll see a really, really bright source with the rest of the sun blocked. And then you get totality. And during totality, you'll see the sun's outer atmosphere that we call the corona, and which you normally cannot possibly see with your eyes because it's 1,000,000 times fainter than the sun's disk. Mm-hmm. But during totality, you can see it, and you'll see, probably unlike the last eclipse in 2017 in the States, you'll see this corona is very active. You'll see lots of structure, you'll see big kind of streamers coming out of it, lots of little wispy plumes. It'll be really neat. Awesome. And then you'll have the same in reverse as the moon moves away from the sun.
It all happens in a matter of minutes. Take a look at that. We're starting to see the partial in Mazatlan in Mexico, starting to come into North America now. All right, let's head out to Abilene, Texas. They will be in, let's take a look there. Oh, there she is. They'll be in about 96.5% totality, but the excitement is growing nonetheless.
For sure.
Let's head out there.
Yeah, Karina Hollingsworth is at Hardin-Simmons University for a watch party. Karina.
The day that's forward to here in Abilene is finally here. The solar eclipse is going to reach its maximum here in a little over an hour, and I'm here at Hardin-Simmons University where they're setting up for their watch party. Let me tell you, here at Hardin-Simmons, but all throughout Abilene, people have been scrambling to get their hands on these certified ISO glasses. And I'm here with Hardin-Simmons University physics professor Dr. Stevens. Can you tell me why this is such an epic event?
It's only about once every 400 years that someone in their local area gets to witness a total solar eclipse.
And do you possibly know when the next eclipse will happen here?
It's roughly, I think, 2044, so we've got 20 years before the one.
And what can we expect to see at 96% totality?
It's going to be pretty dark. It's going to be very close to like dusk or dawn, and the sky is going to look really, really eerie. And if you look at the shadows of leaves, you're going to see interesting patterns from the shape of the sun cast on the ground. Because.
And how many have you seen?
I witnessed the partial eclipse we had a couple months ago, and about 7 years ago, my kids and I watched one from a friend's house.
And how excited are you about the event today?
I think it's pretty neat. It's not too often you get to stay home and have the sky put on such a show for you. So it's really excellent.
And what can your students learn from this experience?
Hopefully they learn a little bit about some physics, about the size of the moon and the size of the sun, and how they're just the right size and just the right distance from us that we get to witness a total solar eclipse.
All right, thank you so much, Dr. Stevens. Everyone here is so excited. The Hardin-Simmons University told me they have 150 ISO glasses. Live in Abilene, I'm Karina Hollingsworth, K-Texas News.
Karina, thanks so much. Magical, that is for sure. Cosmic indeed. We now want to help you better understand what it will be like to experience totality in person.
That's right. Meteorologist Avery Tomasco walks us through the timeline.
As the partial eclipse begins, unless you're using those certified eclipse glasses. But things will change shortly thereafter due to something called the pinhole camera effect. Shadows dotted with inverted projections of the shrinking sun. You'll also start to notice the atmosphere cooling down as the Earth is releasing heat with less and less of the sun's energy to replace it. Depending on how much humidity is in the air, temperatures could drop by as much as 10 to 20 degrees. And as temperatures drop, any fair weather cumulus clouds overhead developing from thermal updrafts may begin to shrink or even disappear entirely. As totality nears, it'll become noticeably darker. And due to something known as the Purkinje effect and the way our eyes see and process color, everything around you will begin to appear less vibrant, more muted, gray, and dull. And then, just after 1:36 p.m., totality. For just a few minutes, you'll be able to look directly at the eclipse without glasses. There will be a 360-degree violet-crowned sunset happening all around you. It'll be dark enough for birds to be fooled into thinking it's time to fly home for the night, and any bees sipping on nectar or frantically trying to return to the hive will stop flying entirely, unable to navigate without the sunshine. You may also hear other insects singing their usual evening songs. And then it ends. Slowly but surely, everything resets itself in reverse as the moon moves away from the sun, and by 3 p.m., we return to reality after experiencing what many go an entire lifetime without.
Yeah, you've no doubt heard it time and time again. Looking directly at the eclipse can permanently damage your eyes.
That's right. If you purchase the Eclipse glasses, you need to make sure they are real and not the fake ones that could easily be found online. Liz Bonus has information you need to know.
When it comes to your eyes and what you'll see on the day of the eclipse, you get one pair and no spare. So in this case, it really is buyer beware.
When it comes to total solar eclipse, even though the sun's going to be mostly blocked, there are still UV rays coming down, and so if you look directly into them, it can damage your retina.
Yao Jin is an associate professor of supply chain management at Miami University. He says counterfeit viewers, as they are appropriately called, are not necessarily easy to spot. Well, it's helpful to look at this ISO stamp and information, which means they do offer proper protection. Mr. Jin says even the certifications on some of them can look like the real thing when they are not.
It's the false sense of security that ultimately really matters. When it comes to your eye health, it is not worth it to try to save a buck or two, even if you're only going to use the Eclipse.
He says if you must buy from an online marketplace, look for evidence of manufacturer authorization. To find out more about that, you can go online.
We've got our glasses, of course, ready to go. You're looking at some shots here of the sun. This is a very unusual time because the sun is right now about as active as it can get.
That's right. So the sun's got a cycle because of the magnetic field in the sun. So every 11 years, we reach what's called solar maximum. We're approaching that maximum right now. So there's tons of flares, coronal mass ejections, lots of other eruptions happening all the time. So it's a really exciting time to have an eclipse because of that.
Yeah, for sure. It's amazing. It looks like we're looking at skin right there. It doesn't look like the sun. It's amazing the resolution you can get with these telescopes. All right, up next, we'll check in with our live team. We have live team coverage in Texas, Oklahoma, Arkansas. Our countdown to totality continues after this.
Welcome back to our coverage of the eclipse across America. Let's continue our trip along totality by returning now to Texas.
Yes, Round Rock is just north of Austin. Totality begins there at 1:36 local time. It's also the home of AAA baseball team that plays at Dell Diamond, and that's where meteorologist Avery Tomasco is right now. What's happening at the stadium there? Oh, it's empty.
Last there, my fingers crossed that the weather does improve a little bit, at least the cloud cover.
Still a chance.
Exactly. Time now to head to the state of Oklahoma, Beavers Bend Park in Ochetown. Ouachita National Forest to in about 90 minutes and last for more than 4 minutes.
Kate Arata from our station in Oklahoma City is there for us. Good afternoon, Kate. Is the excitement building there around you?
Yes, good afternoon. The crowds are coming right now. We just started our partial eclipse just a few minutes ago here. We still have a little bit over an hour, but you can see people are out here enjoying the beautiful weather. It is still a little bit overcast, so we're hoping to see the sun, but we got people camping out here, people swimming, people kayaking, all types of fun stuff is going on out here today. So everyone's really excited to see this eclipse, and the tourism department here in Oklahoma says they're expecting upwards of 60,000 people here in McCurtain County. And just to put that into perspective for you, the population of McCurtain County is just around 30,000 people, so they're expecting at least double the amount of people here today, all coming to get a front row seat of this eclipse. We're all just keeping our fingers crossed that the sun kind of peeks through those clouds here soon whenever that totality happens, but we're going to get about 4 minutes of totality at about 1:45 Central Time, so it's coming quick for us, and everyone here is really excited to see this. We've talked to people from all over the world, the country, people from Belgium, Finland, Idaho, Colorado, all over came here to Oklahoma to get a front row view of this eclipse.
Front row view. How's the sky look out there? Is it complete cloud cover? Are you getting any breaks?
We haven't seen too many breaks, but you know, it came in really fast this morning. We started out here at about 7 this morning, and it was beautiful, clear skies, and then within, 10 minutes, these clouds came in, so I'm hopeful that they can leave just as fast as they came in.
Fingers crossed for you, for sure. Thank you, Kate.
Exactly, yeah. All right, NASA solar physicist Dr. Graham Kerr rejoins us here again in studio. One of the things that I wanted to talk about, Dr. Kerr, is, so folks, they plan their vacations around this. They put a whole bunch of gear and travel for hours to get to an event that is only going to last for a few minutes. But this is an event, if you look at 2017, at least we get 2 minutes longer. Why is it that each total solar eclipse lasts a different period of time?
That's a great question. And so we're gaining that extra couple of minutes this time because the moon is actually closer to the Earth in its orbit than it was in 2017. The moon's orbit around the Earth, it's actually what's called an eclipse, which is like an egg shape. So it sometimes is further from the Earth, which is called its apogee. Sometimes it's at its closest point to the Earth, which is its perigee. And so right now, it's a lot closer, which means it covers more of the sun, and that shadow is bigger, and so we get a longer eclipse.
What is the shortest and longest eclipses that you've been to, or that is on record? So
on record, I'm not sure. That I've been to, I've only seen totality at the 2017 eclipse. So that was a couple of minutes. I was in Madras, Oregon. But it also varies where you are on the path as well. Right. So like where we were in the path was actually not as long as somewhere else.
So center of the path is where you want to be for the longest totality. Because we've seen somewhere the totality is like 19.
If you're right on the edge, it can be 10, 20 seconds. But even moving a couple of miles into the path can increase it quite rapidly. It falls off really sharply. So even if you can get a couple of miles further into the center line, I would recommend trying.
Yeah, people who were saying they were in like 99% totality, I was like, just make that extra push, just get into totality. It's totally worth it because it's a huge difference, right? What you experience out there in 99 versus 100.
Yeah. Yeah, I completely agree.
That is so true. And so many people, okay, so, you know, it's been a while since we had one, 2017, the last one for the U.S. I think some folks who maybe didn't focus as much on the big difference between 90% versus 100% of the moon obscuring the sun, there is a huge difference. I mean, it's almost like going from here in Washington, D.C., where you go, ooh, that's cool, partial, right? But then you go, wow, or sometimes you're just left speechless when you're in totality to make that extra effort to get in the car and drive a couple hours.
All right, I think we have another reporter we can send it out to here, another live shot. We want to get a check back in Oklahoma. Well, let's turn to Broken Bow. It's not very far from Hookatown, where Broken Bow Lake is in Beavers Bend State Park, and that's where we find meteorologist Joy Bettenhausen right now. Good afternoon, Joy. What's going on there?
Good afternoon, guys. We are in downtown Idabel right now. We've been battling the clouds all morning long. Thankfully, we've been able to get some breaks in those lower level clouds, but we're still seeing those thin, higher level clouds. I think we're going to still deal with those throughout the duration of this event. We should hit totality right around 150, 153, and we are definitely excited for that. Now, I have this awesome family that I met. We're talking to Pete, and they're coming in from New Mexico. So what does it mean to you? I mean, you have an interest in meteorology, so this is a big deal, right?
Right. Like everybody says, sort of a once in a semi-lifetime. It's great. It's a great opportunity.
That's awesome. We're so happy you're with us. Now, Steve, we've got all three generations here. What does it mean as a family man to have you here?
I'm just the driver, so no, it's just these two have been waiting for this and planning for it for months, and so it's just really great to get to spend the time together and have a little family adventure.
I love that. Now, Archer, you being kind of the younger one in this whole pack of family waiting for the eclipse, what drove your passion to come out and check this out?
Well, I didn't get to see the one in 2017. He did, and I'm interested in meteorology and astronomy myself, and yeah, really just saw the opportunity. I'm on spring break right now, so we just came out and did it.
Well, definitely a perfect time. Me and you will chat about meteorology after. Thanks so much, and I hope you guys have a great time. We are so excited to be out here. Downtown is packed. The streets are lined with music. There's millions of telescopes out there in the park over at Carl Sherman Plaza. Everyone's so excited to see the eclipse. Again, the big question is the cloud cover. It's something we'll be watching. Right now, we saw a hole in the cloud cover over northern Texas. We're about a few hours from that, so we're keeping our fingers crossed that that clear sky will eventually travel north, and that's going to give us a view of peak totality happening right around 153, so we're so excited from that. We're live right now in Idabel, Oklahoma. Meteorologist Joy Bettenhausen. Back to you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, Joy. You know, it's a good reminder that we can plan this out years and years in advance and know exactly when and where totality is, but we can't control the weather.
Right, yeah. And some people, like you said, have even moved from what their original location was. I mean,
one of our meteorologists, he was in Texas 2 days ago, flew to Maine, or he flew to Boston, drove up to Maine.
Right,
he wanted clear skies. He didn't want to miss it.
Right. And we're back in Solar physicist Dr. Kerr. One of the things I wanted to talk about is some of the research that we're going to be looking at. So, very unique research that only can be done sometimes during a total solar eclipse, studying the surface of the sun. Is it really 200 times hotter than the sun itself, the atmosphere?
That's right. So it sounds kind of unusual because you might imagine you're out camping and you're at a campfire and you walk further away from it, it gets colder. But the sun is actually different. It gets warmer the further you get from the surface. So the sun's surface is around about 10,000 degrees, whereas the atmosphere is 1,000,000 degrees, and we don't actually know why. So it's a really active area of research.
That's one of the things we're going to be talking about throughout the show here, too, is how it impacts our technology on Earth, some of that that's coming out of the atmosphere.
Pick your brain a little bit more.
Exactly. And we're back right after this.
From the National Weather Desk, this is live coverage of the eclipse across America.
And welcome back. NASA has played a huge role in preparing all of us for this historic event. They have a team in Bandera, Texas that has special high-tech equipment to get powerful views of the eclipse.
More than 4 minutes of totality in Bandera begins in about 1 hour. The city is about an hour northwest of San Antonio, if you've never heard of it. And that's where we have our meteorologist, Brad Souter. He's from our San Antonio station. Hi, Brad. Good to see you out there. How's the weather looking?
You too. Well, right now we have some cloud cover, but we just saw first touch a minute ago. Clouds opened up just for a second. Jack Lee, this is a Rice student here, physicist, mathematician, and you've been helping with all these high-powered telescopes. You've got this filter on here right now, and we just saw first touch. How excited are you?
Oh yeah, it's thrilling. You know, you don't see that every day. The moon eats a little chunk out of the sun. So that's all really cool. We're hoping that the clouds clear up a little bit. Our hope is that as the eclipse happens, the temperatures will lower a little bit, and that will allow some of the clouds to condense up. So that's what we got our fingers crossed will happen here.
Yeah, exactly, Jack, and we're going to show the audience here, if you want to pan over, hundreds of people, students, professors, researchers from Rice University in Houston, Texas, NASA affiliated. These are the smart of the smart when it comes to space. And inside we have a control center where we can see our own views with all of the telescopes. Jack, let's go check it out, see if we can see what first touch looks like. And we have mapping from all over the nation that we're feeding into this. In fact, Veronica might know Dave Jones here from WJ. Yeah, you. Storm Center. Yeah, Storm Centers. You know, Dave Jones here. And
hey, Dave.
Dave, you've got Mazatlan pulled up.
Yep.
She says, hey, Dave.
Dave has all the high-tech, high-powered equipment.
And so they have a little bit clearer skies than here in Bandera, but it's peeking through, right? We saw it here in Bandera. We're also fighting some more moisture coming in at the low levels, so it's a tug and pull.
So this is in Mexico right now,
That's right.
And from time to time we are getting views of this here in Bandera, Texas.
Yeah, and the shadow of the moon is moving about 1,600 miles per hour. So it's going to increase in its speed as it goes up across the country, so it's going to be pretty amazing.
Yeah, a very exciting time here. And this is, you've seen a bunch of these. You've been all over the country for these, right?
Well, last time was 2017 in Salem, Oregon. It was tremendous. It was really clear, not a cloud in the sky. But, you know, meteorologists, we don't control the weather, right?
I know.
We forecast.
We try to control it, but yeah, we charge extra for that. Say it again?
Bandera is up.
Bandera is up right now.
That's our recorded image of Bandera.
Okay, is that on that monitor over there as well?
Yeah, that's
okay. So, okay, there it is right there, you guys. That's our live shot here. See, what we're getting is just those moments of clearing.
Oh, no, it's not on that.
Okay, no, that's Mazatlan. So we do have the Bandera shot as well. Obviously, lots of technology all over the place. This is kind of the command center. But yeah, you can see these guys are hard at work here, pulling up the shot. So it looks like it just went back into...
it's back.
Right over here. See if you can pull it up on this shot right over here. So there is our view at the very moment.
Yeah, that's the view from the telescope we just saw just then.
There it is.
Yeah.
That's nice.
And that was about it, right?
Yeah. That was gone.
Peekaboo.
Okay,
it's back. It's back.
It's back. So this is a good sign because this will show, once it cools down, these low clouds that are problematic right now hopefully will dissipate.
Well, some clouds, they have been known to dissipate. I mean, when we have totality, the temperature goes down. So the heating of the land goes down. The only thing I'm worried about is if we have a lot of low-level moisture, right? The clouds are kind of blocking the sun anyway, and if the temperature goes down, it could meet the dew point.
Yeah, the fog. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
Back in the studio, do you guys have any questions for these researchers, these experts that you'd like to figure out what's going on here?
Oh, so
Yeah,
many.
I would like to know, so if we're seeing a drop in temperature, could we also, along the path of totality, see the wind increase just a bit?
Or will it
Okay, so the
die
question
down?
is, if when the temperature drops because it gets darker, would the wind kind of increase as well, and does that have an effect on the cloud cover?
It could, because you could have gradients. You know, you have those temperature gradients, and temperature plays a role in creating wind, right? It's there's an equation there that brings it all together. Remember that?
Math. This guy here.
Yeah, exactly. So there is a chance that we could see a change in the wind direction. I'm here in Bandera looking more for a slight temperature change. So when we hit totality, I'm hoping we can see the shadow coming across the foothills, you know, the hill country, and see what happens. But fingers crossed.
There's a lot of people out here. I was out at lunch yesterday and just asking the town of 900 people, right? Just asking folks, where are you from? Where are you from? First one was California, then I got Tucson, and then I got Germany, the next folks. So this is a worldwide event that people came here for this.
Yeah, it is. And you know, the next one in 2 years is going to be across Italy and the Mediterranean. So
20 years, Montana, right? That's the next chance in the United States.
Montana, and then the 2045 is going to come across, I think, California, and then down across Florida. So Disney World, make some reservations. 2045 is going to be a total eclipse.
Let's see if we accept reservations. It clicks out that far. But hey, the last time that a total solar eclipse happened here, 1397, and there's only one place in the world. Last fall we had the annular eclipse, the Ring of Fire. This is the only place in the world where X marks the spot. We've had both right here, the only place in the world. So how lucky are we?
That's right, exactly. So our fingers and toes are crossed that this low-level moisture goes away, and we can start to see more of the sun.
Absolutely.
Well, thank you so much. We are going to turning to you a little later in the show.
I
know,
face
Dave
in the
Jones.
Washington, D.C.
Exactly.
area, former broadcast meteorologist.
Right. But again, we talk about this, that folks turn into eclipse chasers, right? Because it's life-changing. It's life-changing. So many people there. It's like a rock concert that you witness for 2.5, 4 minutes or so, and it just changes you where you're like, when's the next one? I have to be there.
Yes, because we can predict them, which is great, which, you know, weather is a little more difficult. You know what you can't predict? Earthquakes. But there was one on Friday. There were some rumors out there spreading around on social media that the earthquake in New Jersey was somehow connected to today's eclipse.
Right, and we can tell you without a doubt, it's not true. The USGS National Earthquake Information Center said there is no correlation between earthquakes of that size and celestial bodies or events like the total solar eclipse that we're seeing today.
Yeah. Now, there's plenty of other eclipse myths out there, and we're about to bust some of them for you. Let's take a look with meteorologist Matt Ritter, who's going to separate fact from fiction when it comes to some of these.
The first myth: the total solar eclipse produces harmful rays that can cause blindness. Fact: the brilliant corona only emits electromagnetic radiation. There is nothing that can cause blindness. The real danger is looking at the exposed sun without proper protection. That could damage your retinas. Myth: you can safely watch an eclipse through sunglasses. Fact: as we've reported several times, you must have certified eclipse glasses for optimal safety. Sunglasses do not provide adequate protection. Myth: dogs go blind during an eclipse. Fact: on a normal day, your dog doesn't try to look at the sun and damage their eyes, so don't expect them to do it during an eclipse. There's no reason for them to wear eclipse glasses. Myth: there are no total solar eclipses at the North or South Pole. Fact: there is nothing unique about these locations. Eclipses happen there just like everywhere else on Earth. Myth: eclipses can harm a pregnant woman's baby. Fact: there is no additional solar radiation during an eclipse that could harm you or a developing fetus. Myth: eclipses will poison food prepared during the event. Fact: again, the solar radiation levels do not change during an eclipse. Any food poisoning would be purely coincidental. For the National Weather Desk, I'm meteorologist Matt Ritter.
And I know you're probably chuckling at some of them, but don't laugh, because these are all things that people have asked and wondered about on social media. That was really true.
Gotta clarify.
Yeah, exactly, clarify. Well, given the weather, some of the best viewing could be in southern Illinois.
In fact, this is one of the spots where they got the eclipse in 2017. Carbondale begins just before 2 p.m. local time and lasts for 4 minutes and 10 seconds. And yes, the city is holding an eclipse festival, of course. Julia Rosier joins us live. Good afternoon, Julia. Tell us how things are looking out there. The sun is shining on your face. That's a good sign.
Yeah, Veronica, Emily, that's right. The sun is shining. It is a beautiful day here in Carbondale, Illinois. The energy and the excitement for the solar eclipse can really just be felt throughout the entire community. We're here at Saluki Stadium at Southern Illinois University. Over 11,000 people here in the stadium to view that eclipse. In just a few minutes, we'll be able to have and see that partial totality leading up to totality at 1:59 p.m. Central Time. But in the meantime, there's music and entertainment, performances by local community groups, and even SIU is hosting an art mural challenge. I'm joined by Antonio Martinez, who is the artist of the mural behind us. Antonio, tell me about this challenge.
For Maddie, Dieter, and I to finish this mural by the end of the eclipse. So I had to take a head start because my design is pretty intricate, and also I have a 10-month-year-old, month. That makes a big difference. So I didn't have a lot of time to practice. So this is kind of the first run. So luckily I have one of my students is here. I teach a art design mural class, and he's actually a student athlete in the swimming team, and he actually recruited 2 of his swim mates, and I have one of my assistants as well.
Well, the mural's looking great so far compared to, how much progress you've made when we first got here. Tell me about what you're painting.
So the design is actually inspired from my 2017 experience. I was at Campus Lake, and during the eclipse, the spring peeper frogs were just so loud. So I was inspired by the spring peeper frog, very nocturnally active animal. So there's a spring peeper frog. We'll eventually get to it. There's 2 landmarks, the Bald Knob Cross and the Paul Simon Water Tower in Makanda. So those features will be in here. And just trying to create, I guess, my impression of the solar eclipse, how the sunset is, you'll see sunset colors during the totality. So a lot of this is just being inspired from the 2017 experience, and hopefully people who have witnessed the eclipse before will get it and understand it.
And how much progress is left to go?
Oh my gosh, we're probably maybe at 80%, maybe 85%. Like, yeah, it's
Well, thank you so much. Reporting live in Carbondale, I'm Julia Rosier. Back to you.
All right. Well, there are just two national parks within the path of totality. One is Cuyahoga National Park, located in Ohio. The other is Hot Springs National Park in Arkansas.
Totality in Hot Springs begins at 1:49 local time and lasts for 3.5 minutes. Kayla Christian is there right now. Good afternoon, Kayla. How are things looking out there in Hot Springs?
Good afternoon here in Hot Springs. It is absolutely beautiful. The sun is shining. We have so many people out here. There are actually hundreds of people out here on the infield. They opened it up just so that people could come participate. I mean, people have been lining up for hours just to make sure that they can get a good spot to see that totality. And again, we're going to be one of the places that's getting over 3 minutes. So it's definitely an exciting, life-changing moment for so many right here. There's live music going on. We actually just heard about a dance competition that's going on and a car giveaway, so they're making sure that this is a win all around. But we actually have been speaking from people from near and far, and I actually have one person here with me. I have Amy Bowen, and she's going to talk a little bit about what it's like growing up in Hot Springs and now seeing all these people here.
It's just an amazing place to be, especially a place to be on history. It's so amazing, especially growing up here. Oaklawn is one of my favorite places to be, and I couldn't imagine spending it anywhere else today.
So could you ever imagine that this would be something that you would see?
No, never in my lifetime. It's so neat to actually get to experience it here with you in the infield at Oaklawn.
So who all's here with you today?
Actually, I have some of my children with me today. My husband's playing backhoe with me and some friends. So we're having a great time out here. Traffic was actually great for us as well.
So what are you most excited for when it comes to this totality?
Just to be a part of history right here in my hometown, and just to be right here in a great place on a beautiful day and to get to experience the eclipse.
Awesome. So it's a win for you all around, and hopefully you win this bag.
Kayla, thank you so much. That's pretty fun stuff happening out there in Hot Springs. All right, we'll be right back after a short break. We're going to get more expert opinion and more live shots from across that path of totality. And welcome back to Eclipse Across America. Well, millions of bats call Texas home, including those that live under Austin's Congress Avenue Bridge. So how will they react when the skies
suddenly turned dark.
Have you seen this happen in Austin?
I have.
It's wild. All right, as Betty Cross shows us, scientists are eager to find out as well.
Every night, this is the jaw-dropping sight at Bracken Cave on the outskirts of San Antonio. Fran Hutchins is the director of Bracken Cave Preserve.
The population at its peak is around 20 million bats.
That's about 18 million more bats than fly out from Austin's Congress Avenue Bridge to grab dinner.
So Congress Avenue Bridge is the largest urban colony of bats.
These giant roosts make Central Texas the ideal spot to monitor the reaction of bats and the animals that prey on them during April's total solar eclipse. At Bracken Cave, Hutchins and other experts will be walking the perimeter, monitoring any change in behavior. But since the bats are underground, they're less likely to notice the moon completely blocking the face of the sun.
Where some be a bigger reaction is downtown Austin. The bats roosting here underneath the bridge are more likely to notice day is temporarily becoming night.
Experts aren't sure what the nocturnal bats will do, but the possibilities range from not noticing to becoming confused, anxious, or even flying out to see what the fuss is all about. NASA is also curious, and not just about bats. The Eclipse Soundscapes project will monitor atypical animal behaviors in Central Texas and along the entire eclipse path.
They're recording insect, animal, birds, and the bat sounds before and after the eclipse to see if there's any changes in behavior.
Experts say don't be surprised if humans have a more impressive reaction than bats that could possibly snooze through it.
We'll see.
That's a lot of bats.
Yes, it is. All right, we talked about this earlier. Most of Michigan will not experience totality except for a tiny little corner along Lake Michigan.
Right, but that probably doesn't stop the crowds. Erie Township in southeast Michigan will have just 19 seconds of totality starting at 3:13 this afternoon. That's where we find Mike Woolfolk from our station there in Flint, Michigan. He joins us now live from the Erie Marsh Preserve. Mike, you've probably seen it all during your career, but tell me, have you ever witnessed a total solar eclipse?
Not total. I have participated in making the pinhole projectors for some partial eclipses in the past, but I have never, ever experienced totality. So I'm kind of looking forward to this, kind of the plum assignment, if you will. We are at the Erie Marsh Nature Preserve. We're probably about 3-4 miles north of the Michigan-Ohio state line. And I have with me Helen, who is the director of the Nature Conservancy here. They own and run this property. I know you didn't advertise this as being open to the public, but it is, because you didn't want to get inundated. The infrastructure is not set up for that, but you have quite a turnout here.
We do. We have lots of people from the local community, our staff and families. And you know what's great about this is nature just makes everybody forget everything. You can come together, all this craziness in the world, partisan, it all comes together and everybody's here to see a phenomena that they're never going to see for many, many years, if ever.
Yeah. Have you ever experienced a total eclipse?
No, not a total. Well, I'm told when I was 2 years old, this will tell you how old I was. In 1963, I was at one, but I don't remember it.
Well, so. That means you only have 1 year on me, if that, depending on what month you were born in. As I mentioned to the anchors in D.C., I've experienced partial eclipses, and that's cool in and of itself. But eclipse, even if it's just for 30 seconds or so, it's still going to be really cool.
I'm told it is totally night and day difference, and that 50% of the people are going to cry, and that'll probably be me, because I think it'll be very spiritual. And it's just so wonderful to be able to host people here, and everybody has moon pies and Milky Way candy bars and sun chips, so all the treat bags.
Yeah, it's all going to be cool. Helen, thanks for letting us come in and invade the territory here. Again, they're expecting totality here sometime after 3 o'clock, right around the 3:15 time span. But I'm told that the eclipse will actually start here to be visible, say, in the next 10-15 minutes. Guys, back to you.
Partial happening very soon. All right, now Ohio is a big state for viewing the eclipse this time around, and one of our first teams that we're going to visit is our station in Cincinnati. Columbus and Dayton have blanketed the state for extensive coverage. Our first stop out there in Marion, right, Veronica?
That's right. Where the totality begins there at 3:11 local time. It lasts for about 3.5 minutes, and that's where we find Kate Seifert at Ohio State University campus. And I see some folks behind you there. You're ready to go, of course. What has the vibe been like this morning? A lot of energy?
Yeah, there is a lot of energy here, you guys. So we got here right around 7 o'clock, and that's when the parking lot opened at this OSU branch campus in Marion, which is just about an hour north of downtown Columbus. This is one of many areas around this whole campus where families are gathering. So you can take a look. I'll give you a peek at all these families who have set up basically kind of like a tailgate situation. So families started coming in around 7 o'clock, and there's a lot of people from Ohio, but we also met families from North Carolina, from Maryland, from New York, from Washington, D.C. We actually saw a charter bus come in from Washington, D.C. filled with an entire family of about 40 people who came just for this event today. And there's a lot of cool things for families and for kids to do while they are here. And this is one of them. So it's an opportunity for people to look through these telescopes and get a peek at what this eclipse is going to look like in a safe viewing matter. And Barbara Ryden is here. She's a professor from the OSU main campus down in Columbus. Barbara, tell me a little bit about this opportunity that people are getting here today.
Well, they're getting perhaps the opportunity of a lifetime, since at any given spot, like right here, a total solar eclipse is quite a rare phenomenon. This means that we have people here who have come from quite far away. So far, the most distant trip I've heard from is somebody who came here from Florida.
Wow.
So, yeah, it's not often someone from Florida comes to Ohio, but for a total solar eclipse, it's worth it.
For sure, yeah. I met someone from California earlier, people from all across the country. This is your third eclipse, right? And a lot of people have been saying, once you see one, you can't go back. Can you tell me about the sensation that this is?
Oh, it was wonderful. My first eclipse was actually in the Caribbean on a cruise. And, first of all, it's an amazing experience visually. But then, a couple of minutes after totality, a couple of whales surfaced nearby saying, "What the bleep was that?"
Yeah.
At least I'm assuming that's what they were saying. I don't speak whale, but yeah, if you're anywhere near any kind of animal, they get very confused. Whoa, it's dark. Wait a minute. Wasn't expecting that.
Exactly, and that's something that we expect to see here in Ohio today. I'll give you one last peek at some of this experience that people are getting here in Marion, once again about an hour north of Columbus. We are about an hour or so away from when we are going to experience totality here, so we are very, very excited, you guys. I'll send it back to you in your studio.
Thank you so much. The anticipation of it all, right? And what we said, folks traveling so far for, in some instances, what's less than a minute.
To Ohio.
Exactly.
It's a good day for Ohio. All right, we want to bring back in our expert solar physicist, Dr. Graham Kerr from NASA, explaining everything, breaking it down for us. We've been showing this picture. Let's talk about what's happening here because Mazatlan, Mexico, correct? It looks like yes. So this is kind of the first spot in North America where this is moving through. What are we looking at right now?
So what you're seeing is the moon starting to, well, actually it's quite a long way now across the sun's disk. So it's blocking out a large fraction of the sun's light. In fact, so this is what most of the country will see. And so I know we've been talking a lot about how amazing the total is, but I do think the partial is definitely worth seeing. And so especially if you're here in DC and you have some way to view the eclipse safely with the viewing glasses, this is comparable to what we'll see. We'll see this kind of crescent-shaped sun with the moon taking a chunk out of it.
And you have to have your safety glasses on
You do.
to view any partial,
If you want to look at the sun
Yeah.
to see this, you must have some form of safety viewing glasses. If you don't have those, you can do other things like a pinhole or a colander or things like this.
Okay,
We'll
thank
talk
you so
about
very
all of those different things in a minute.
Exactly, you're right. We've got a lot more questions that we're going to be answering for you too coming up within here. We want to head back now to southern Illinois because it could have some of the best viewing in the Midwest.
That's right. As a reminder, totality begins there just before 2 p.m. Central Time. Nashville meteorologist Katie Morgan appears frequently, of course, on the National Weather Desk. We see her a lot. And we want to go out to Katie, who is, looks like a long way from Music City. Are you out there, Katie? Can you hear us?
Yes, I can, Emily. Good afternoon, Emily, Veronica. We are live in Marion, Illinois right now, and we could not have asked for better weather. I am stoked right now. I'm very excited. We are looking at mainly clear skies, a couple high in cirrus clouds at the moment, and right now we are live inside the Thrillbillies baseball stadium right off of I-57 in southern Illinois. And as you mentioned, this is looking to be one of the best spots in the country for viewing the total solar eclipse later on this afternoon. Lots of folks behind me. It's quite sunny, of course, so a lot of us have been hanging out in the shade, but now that the partial eclipse has started, we are looking at more folks are starting to come on the field. It's a great vibe right now. We have kids throwing around the football with their parents and their siblings. We've got all kinds of things going on. Lots of astronomers here on hand to ask and answer questions for folks. And really, I think it's just going to be a spectacular show. Now, totality here in Marion will be at 1:59 and should last just about 4 minutes.
That's perfect. And of course, we're going to be checking back in also with Marion coming up within the next couple of hours. But one of the things that you're going to notice with this event is that it's all about the people and bonding, getting them together to experience this very special and unique event. Our live coverage of Eclipse Across America continues after this.
From the National Weather Desk, this is live coverage of the eclipse across America.
Good afternoon and welcome to the National Weather Desk coverage of the eclipse across America. I'm meteorologist Veronica Johnson.
And I'm meteorologist Emily Gracie. For those of you just joining us here in the Washington, D.C. area and elsewhere, next 2 hours should be very exciting.
Happy Eclipse Day, Emily.
Happy Eclipse Day.
Of course. We're just a few minutes away from totality arriving in North America. It happens in just about 7 minutes in Mazatlan, Mexico, and you will see it live right here.
That's
now,
right.
here's a quick look at the path of totality in the United States. It starts in Texas in less than 30 minutes. The moon's shadow then heads north, passing through portions of Arkansas, Oklahoma, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, Ohio, and New York before finally hitting Vermont, New Hampshire, and lastly, Maine for the U.S. It then continues into eastern Canada. Now, from start to finish, totality will last about an hour and 8 minutes and cover at least a portion of 14 states.
That's a fast-moving shadow. Here's a look at when totality starts in some key places. As we said, Eagle Pass, Texas will see darkness at 1:27 Central Time. Little Rock will see totality at 1:51. Indianapolis at 3:06 Eastern Time. Rochester, New York at 3:20. And finally, totality starts in Holton, Maine, right there on the Canadian border at 3:32.
Okay, so take a look at this map here, because every dot on this map represents one of our 50 cameras covering this historic event. But of course, those cameras won't be able to see the sun and the moon if the weather doesn't cooperate, and weather certainly is a big factor here today. Meteorologist Steve Rudin, now he's standing by to show us what the weather is looking like. Steve?
Hey, location is key, and a lot of people have spent a lot of time planning that perfect spot to see the eclipse. In Texas, the severe weather looks like it's going to hold off until the eclipse is finally done. But then after that, later on, coming home from the eclipse, could be looking at stronger storms over into the Dallas-Fort Worth area. Continuing our track off toward the north and east, Nashville, your weather is looking pretty good. Hot Springs, Arkansas, also looking good. Our next stop will take us over to Little Rock, a mix of sun and clouds. But other than that, looking at temperatures that are going to be quite warm, and the sky coverage just perfect out there. Evansville, Indiana, and then as you head into Indiana, Bloomington, and Indianapolis, we've seen a lot of people in Indianapolis. Skies partly cloudy, temperatures in the mid-70s. Toward Cleveland, it had rain earlier this morning. That rain is now cleared on out. We are going to look for sun and clouds, but you'll be able to still see the eclipse. Temperatures just around 70 degrees. And then head over toward Buffalo. We're looking at temperatures in the lower 60s. To view the eclipse, but still hopefully a few breaks in the clouds and you'll be able to see it. And then finally, farther off toward the north and east, over toward Burlington, looking at a mix of sun and clouds, more clouds than sun. Temperatures on the cool side around 60 degrees. And then we head way off into Maine, where it looks a little bit better. They're saying that parts of Maine will be the best viewing in the entire country with lots of blue sky.
Still some snow on the ground up there.
That's right.
Chilly. All right, the anticipation is growing along the path as the clock ticks down to totality. It arrives in Springsboro, Ohio, in southwestern Ohio, in a little over an hour, and lasts about 90 seconds.
Meteorologist Natalie Walters from our station in Dayton is there right now. Natalie, how are people there getting ready for totality?
Hey guys, it is amazing the crowd that has shown up for today. Thousands of people in the Springboro community, and I'm sure we've seen some people from elsewhere kind of traveling their way into the path of totality. It was about 7 that we started to see the sun taken out by the moon, and then eventually at 3:10 p.m. we will approach totality. But as you can see here, we got live music. This is actually from the local high school in town, and we have about thousands of people that have shown up for today. They're giving away 1,000 free glasses for the first 1,000 that show up. You have those bounce houses, we have snow cones, we have food trucks, there's coffee. It is overall a great time here, and the weather has shaped up beautifully. So far we do have some of those high cirrus clouds that have made their way into the area, but for the most part it should just be filtered sunshine. You should be able to see enough of the sun to really get a good glimpse of our total solar eclipse. We're going to be in totality for about 1 minute and 40 seconds, but take a look at the lines going into these food trucks, and then of course the kids are all lined up for Kona Ice. So I'm going to be live out here, and I'm going to enjoy totality in about an hour from now. So you guys have fun back in the studio.
So much fun out there, even just waiting for it. And again, we're getting so close. Just a moment. Hey, we are going to keep watching the sun in Mexico, but as we do, we want to check back with our team here waiting for its arrival.
Noblesville is right in central Indiana. Totality arrives in 1 hour and lasts for 3.5 minutes. Lynette Grant is a meteorologist at our station in South Bend. She's at a moon market at a local park. Lynette, are people getting excited out there in Indiana?
Oh my gosh, people have been so excited as the hours have approached getting ready for the eclipse. Now, we got here at around 9:30 this morning, and outside of some of the vendors and people setting up, we were one of the first, but I can tell you it got crowded very quickly. Organizers telling me that there were probably 750 people at this ticketed event alone. Now, this is just one spot in Hamilton County, Indiana, that has events going on. We are just starting to see the moon eclipse the sun here locally. A lot of people around me getting very excited, starting to put their glasses on. But I do want to show what we're seeing in the area right now. Lots of people sitting down with the lawn chairs, already starting to look up at the sun. They've even got several pairs of giant eclipse glasses out here in Hamilton County. It's something people are taking pictures of to have some keepsakes for today. But we are about an hour away from totality happening, and it started at around 1:51 p.m. Totality typically lasting 22 seconds here. The time of that likely going to be 3:08. We're excited to see it, and we're going to continue across the country of what it looks like. But for now, I'm Lynette Grant in Hamilton County, Indiana.
Thanks so very much. Okay, so look at the image that you're seeing on the screen right now. Looks like it's almost dark. That is the fact that we are just moments away here from totality in location 1. Mazatlan, Mexico.
That's right. We're so lucky we have a NASA solar physicist here to kind of walk us through what's happening right now. It's very hard to see unless you're looking right at it. Dr. Graham Kerr is in studio with us to kind of walk us through. This is Mazatlan, Mexico. We're looking through a telescope, through a lens, and a safety lens and a telescope, and we're about to get into totality. Can you walk us through? Are we seeing Bailey's beads? Is that what those little? Tell me what I'm seeing here.
It looks like more of a camera shoot. But, what we'll start to see is exactly what you said, Bailey's beads. And so that's because the moon has structure. The moon has mountains and valleys. And as the last little bits of the sun's light try to peek through those mountains and valleys, you'll start to see bead-like structures along the sun. And what we're seeing just there was a diamond ring. So that was the final bit.
Is that a live picture?
Yeah,
oh,
that's
live.
The
diamond ring!
Yeah, so that's what's called. That's the last bit of light coming through from the sun, and what we see now is totality. And if you look carefully there, as well as starting to see the corona as our eyes adjust, you're going to see some red bits around the sun's disk. That's the middle part of the sun's atmosphere called the chromosphere, and that's equally as complex and equally cool, because I'm biased because I studied the chromosphere. But we see these red structures. That's because the sun is glowing in hydrogen light, and you see these kind of what are called prominences, kind of protruding out from the sun.
Is there anything we're going to see during this eclipse that we didn't see in 2017, given the fact that we're in this heightened solar activity right now? So, as you said, we're at solar maximum, or we're approaching solar maximum right now, which means the sun's atmosphere is way more dynamic than it was in 2017. You've got lots of, not only do you have lots of transient events like flares and CMEs, the whole corona itself is just more dynamic and more active. And so we'll likely see lots of structure. We'll see lots of what are called helmet streamers, or are these big kind of cap-like structures around the sun, as well as poles. But unlike 2017, they'll be all over the sun's corona.
Because it's more active.
Exactly. Right. So they won't just be at the equator. If we're very, very lucky, you could potentially see a coronal mass ejection. It'd have to be things aligning, but in 1860 we believe they did see this, because there are lots of drawings of the eclipse, and there's some features in those drawings that look like what we now identify as a coronal mass ejection.
So 1860, was that when the Carrington event happened? Wasn't that around the same time?
That was around the same time. The Carrington event was a year before. It was 1859.
But heightened solar activity,
So the Carrington event was the biggest flare in CME we've ever recorded.
So this goes to, we talk about all this research, the special research that's taking place on many different levels when it comes to today's total solar eclipse. What do we hope to learn, and why?
So the sun is not just this kind of unchanging disk in the sky. The sun is actually really active. Like we're just saying, it kind of goes on these activity cycles of every 11 years. It goes from being really active, then a few years later it's not active, then back again. But that activity affects us on the Earth. It affects technology and infrastructure. And so we have to study the sun in order to predict and then try to mitigate those effects. And what we see during an eclipse is the middle part of the sun's corona. We see the lower and the mid corona. And we're unable to study that area easily without an eclipse. But that's a really crucial layer for understanding these, what we call space weather. So the generation of the solar wind, this constant stream of particles coming out from the sun. It's also where we think coronal mass ejections, or CMEs, are accelerated. And also, as we were saying a minute ago, the sun is just more active right now, so we see a lot more structure in the corona. And that gives us a really neat opportunity to study those magnetic structures.
And all that energy coming off of the sun
exactly.
ultimately impacts some of the technology on Earth.
Exactly, yeah.
Now, as it starts to come out of totality, what should we be looking for?
So you'll see everything kind of in reverse. You'll see, if we're lucky, we'll see another diamond ring, but then we'll also see Bailey's beads again. So we'll see those kind of crevices coming out. And as I'll say, talking about safety, as always, the minute you start to see the diamond ring appear again, put your glasses back on.
Glasses back on, got it.
Why does it almost look like that white that's coming off of the sun, which basically is the glow, right? The light. Why does it almost look like it's wafting back and forth?
So I don't know if that wafting is on the sun or if that's potentially clouds cover in Mexico right now. Because the sun, although these are very dynamic structures, the sun is very far away and it's very, very big.
Yeah,
so
how far is it away?
It's 93 million miles.
Right.
And so in fact, these you can kind of see on the lower right, there's a bit kind of a thing shoving out from the sun. That's probably a prominence or a loop. That is bigger than the Earth. Huge. Wow. And so, although they are dynamic and they're moving, seeing it moving in real time is maybe a bit difficult. So I think all that kind of wispy motion is more likely to be
but
clouds.
That little thing is bigger than the Earth. Okay.
Yeah.
I think that's the first totality we're going to see here over the next hour and a half. This is very exciting. All right, the partial eclipse just started a few minutes ago in Rochester, New York.
The city on the shores of Lake Ontario in western New York will experience more than 3.5 minutes of totality starting at 3:20 local time. That's where we find Jackie Napier in Rochester right now. The atmosphere. The weather there not bad, right?
Yes. Hey guys, good afternoon. Excuse me. I'm here with the lovely Coloratolo family, who is the owner of Casa Larga Vineyard here in Fairport, New York. Just a beautiful site where we're seeing a lot of folks. Thank you so much. A lot of folks come out and enjoy. Tell me about the preparation for today.
Oh, well, I should defer to my sister, Mary Jo, because she's done most of the preparation with the team, but I think they've worked really, really hard to put everything together to make sure that that it goes off as well as possible.
That's wonderful. Now, tell me about some of the visitors we're having.
The visitors that we're having are from all over the country. We've got about 50% of them coming from out of state, and I think as far away as California. Some locals, too, and some that are, local and have family that came in just for that.
And tell us about the kind of day we're seeing out here. What are you anticipating for the eclipse viewing?
We are anticipating that the clouds are going to move out, but I was just listening to Edwin, the expert from RIT, and he said that we'll be able to see it through the clouds, maybe not the intense sun, but we should have a change in what the color looks like. It's going to be some type of an orange color, and then it will go dark, and when it goes dark, it's going to be cold.
That's great. Now I want to, another small business owner right over here. We have a special treat. Tell me about what you designed here, sir.
Well, we designed a solar eclipse necklace for today because it's passing over Rochester. It's a jet black Swarovski crystal set in a pewter sunburst.
Absolutely. And now tell me about how folks can learn more about this if they're interested.
They can go to our Gmail address. It's Jules Romanoff, Jules Romanoff.
We're going to have to go to break here in just a second. But let's take one more look out there at Mazatlan, Mexico. We'll be back with more eclipse coverage coming up.
And welcome back to Eclipse Across America. We are now just 10 minutes from totality arriving in the United States. We will show it to you before we go to another break. But right now, we want to check back with our team of meteorologists and reporters along the path.
That's right. Indianapolis is the largest U.S. city outside of Texas that's in that path of totality. Darkness arrives and lasts for 3 minutes and 47 seconds. Meteorologist Will Haney is there for us today. Is Indianapolis ready? Will, good to see you.
Yeah, great to see you guys as well. Thank you so much. Your state. Yeah, this park, we are at White River State Park. This is in downtown Indianapolis, and it is packed. They're estimating about 20,000 visitors to the park alone today, about 100,000 visitors to the city of Indianapolis. I want to just set the scene. Pretty much all around me, there's people on chairs, blankets, and now that we have a little bit of partial eclipse beginning, the excitement is just really building. I'm seeing more people picking up those glasses, putting them on their face, and we're starting to hear that reaction from the kiddos out here and everyone from the young to the elderly. It is just really amazing, and I think that excitement will obviously continue to build for the next hour or so. We are expecting, as you mentioned, that totality about 3:06. You know what's a crazy fact about totality over Indianapolis is the last time that Indianapolis would have seen a totality was way before Indy was even a thing. It was back in 1205, which kind of speaks to the rarity of it. They average about every 400 years or so, but yeah, really amazing. Over 800 years ago was the last time we saw a totality in this exact spot I'm standing. So yeah, just an amazing day ahead, and we are going to continue to just keep watching. And of course, that totality conditions are looking fantastic here in Indiana. We just have a little bit of some high-level cirrus clouds, just those wispy ice clouds, but that's not really going to spoil the show. If anything, just filter that sun just a little bit, but overall things are looking really good here, and the temperatures, 70s, perfect. So we'll send it back to you all in the studio.
That is great to hear. Thank you so much. Yeah, they'll have some great shots for sure.
All right, Veronica, check out this story. You know our meteorologist, Ed Piotrowski, in South Carolina, Myrtle Beach meteorologist. He traveled to Texas to go see the eclipse this week. Texas wasn't working. He hopped on a plane and went to Maine. So he's giving us a forecast from Maine. Let's check it out.
All right, thanks, Veronica and Emily. Holton, Maine is a happening place right now. This small town of less than 6,000 people swelling to nearly 30,000 people, all to witness the total solar eclipse. You can see a lot of the cameras behind me, but if we look down Main Street here in Holton, Maine, a lot of people arriving, and there's still many more to come. We've already seen plenty of reports that I-95 is backed up for an hour outside of Holton, Maine. Folks are having a great time out here, and the weather could not be better. It is perfectly sunny out here right now, probably the best weather anywhere along the path of totality in the United States. Folks are here eating. They're having a good time. They've got their eclipse glasses, and of course we have NASA here as well. NASA is here because they're not only filming the actual eclipse, but they're doing all sorts of different things to learn more about the eclipse as well. So it's an exciting time here in Holton, Maine. Once again, totality is around 3:32 p.m. here. That's when the moon will pass in front of the sun, blocking out all the sunlight, and all that's left is that magnificent corona just flying away from the center of the sun. I got to see the one in 2017, so to me, this is as good as it gets when you can see one of these total solar eclipses. We'll, of course, join you again for more reaction after the eclipse goes by here in Holton, Maine. For now, I'm Ed Piotrowski.
Emily, I have to tell you, I think that is the bluest sky that I have seen so far with anyone checking in.
That's a true chaser right there,
Exactly.
too. Somebody who hops on
He
a
knew where to
plane
go.
mid-event. All right, let's head back to Ohio, which is counting down the minutes to the arrival of totality.
Greenville in western Ohio, that's about 90 miles just north of Cincinnati. It will go dark starting at 3:08 and stay that way for nearly 4 full minutes. That's where we find Chelsea Sick, our station in Cincinnati, Ohio, joining us live. Chelsea, oh, I know the anticipation is building there.
Oh my gosh, it truly is building. We are starting to see that moon pass up in front of the sun. Again, you said 3:08 is when we're going to see totality here, but we're starting to hear some people say they can feel a difference. It's getting a little cooler, not as bright as it was just 5-10 minutes ago. So starting to see a pretty big difference. We do want to show you, we're here at the Eldora Speedway, which is owned by Tony Stewart, and they have a screen here that is showing that moon passing in front of the sun where we are right now. 46 minutes until we see totality here at the Eldora Speedway. One cool thing that they're doing here is they're going to have fireworks halfway through totality for the people who are here visiting. Hundreds of people here in Darke County at the Eldora Speedway. And what's really interesting about where we are is this is a very rural county. So having hundreds of people in one spot is pretty impressive. I haven't heard any issues on the roads here in this area. We know a lot of people were moving in throughout the weekend and last night. We had some campers here at the Speedway as well. And I'm here with a family that traveled all the way from Michigan. I know the Ridge family, you guys traveled from Central Michigan, stayed here last night. Bill, listen, what are you most looking forward to?
Seeing the sun turn off. I mean, it's going to be awesome. We haven't ever witnessed a solar eclipse, or a total solar eclipse anyway, but we're really excited to see it.
And girls, I know you're excited too. What are you most looking forward to?
I'm looking forward to hear all the crickets when it's dark.
Crazy, and the fireworks I know you're excited for too. Mom, why here? Why did you want to travel to this part of Ohio?
Well, we were really looking forward to the race last night. How wet the track was, that didn't happen, but still a good family event.
Absolutely,
Be out
absolutely.
here,
45 minutes. Yeah, 45 minutes. What are the anticipation? What are you really feeling right now?
We can already tell that the temperature's changing for sure. Yeah.
It's definitely not as bright as it was.
Yeah.
Not as bright as it was. Yep. All right. Well, thank you guys so much. Enjoy, okay? All right. It's a beautiful day here in Darke County. We're really not seeing many clouds in the sky at all. I know that's been a worry for a lot of people. Right now, we're not having any issue seeing. Back to you all.
So much. Hey, we're now just minutes away from totality arriving in Texas. We'll continue to watch it and we'll bring it to you full screen before it begins.
Right now, let's go head up to Oswego in New York. We're just north of Syracuse along Lake Erie. Totality arrives in a little less than an hour, but Connor White is there right now. Connor, tell us what's happening up there in New York. How's the sky looking?
Hi, good afternoon. We're here in Breitbeck Park in Oswego. It's a city of about 17,000 people, but that population has gotten a lot bigger with people coming in from all over the East Coast to be able to enjoy the day today. Everyone say hi. Who's excited for the eclipse? You guys? All right, we're over here on Lake Ontario. The weather has been nice for the most part, but we also have some cloud coverage. So some people are nervous. Partial coverage is beginning to happen with the sun, so you'll see some people looking up. They've got legitimate equipment up here as well. But it's a big party, and part of that party, of course, is live music. And in the flesh, we have In the Flesh, a Pink Floyd cover band. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing very good. We're very excited to be here and just can't wait to play for everybody, so it'll be a lot of fun.
And you guys are all local, right?
Yes. Most of us are from Oswego, but the two backup singers are from Syracuse.
Gotcha. So what does it mean to see this many people here in your backyard for really a once-in-a-generation, for some folks, once-in-a-lifetime event?
Oh, we love it for sure. Absolutely.
It's going to be awesome.
It's going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Now, Pink Floyd, a lot of people will know the main album. A lot you can do with the lyrics. You guys have any puns set up for today?
Not really. I don't think so. I think we're just going to play what we normally play and call it good, and everybody will enjoy it, I'm sure.
All right, perfect. Well, guys, thank you so much. You're on at 3 o'clock. Everyone is looking forward to totality at around 3:20. While we have some cloud coverage, it's not total overcast, so we should be able to see something when that totality. Throw it back to you guys. Reporting in Oswego, I'm Connor White.
Sing tech. All right, thank you so very much, Connor. We're taking a look at some of the images there. It's going to stay up on the screen throughout the show. These are live images from different locations. We're looking at Junction, Texas right now, and I want to bring back in NASA astrophysicist Dr. Graham Kerr. What are we seeing right now? I'm seeing more white versus the yellow and gold that we were seeing earlier.
So that's probably, so we're still seeing a partial eclipse. So we're still seeing the moon kind of eating a chunk out of the sun as it goes towards totality. The color we see is probably related to the filter of the telescopes. Maybe some of the yellow images we saw earlier were using filters to block out more of the light, whereas these white light images we're seeing are probably just a kind of a regular telescope.
And specific location that's northwest of Abilene, is that right? San Antonio, just northwest of San Antonio.
So when we see it go dark, it's kind of, that's when clouds kind of come in and it ruins our shot, and then we hop to the next one. So definitely some cloud cover out there affecting things today, but we can't control that. What we can control is what we learned from you, Dr. Carr. I want to hear a little bit more about the eclipse, and we were talking about the differences earlier between this one and the one in 2017. One of the differences, these lengths of totality. So we're talking in some places up over 4 minutes. We just saw that in Mazatlan. And then one thing that happened in 2017 that I wasn't aware of was this test that NASA did with jets flying through the path of totality. Obviously, they can't fly at the speed at which the shadow is going, because that would be, you know, what, like 1,500 miles per hour. Okay. Yeah. So, but they're going fast enough. They are extending their totality. Can you tell me a little bit about this mission that these jets are doing?
Yeah. So these are some WB-57 jets that are flying at hundreds of miles an hour, and they're trying to extend their length during totality by a couple minutes or so. And what they're doing is also flying really, really high up. They're at 50,000 feet. And that lets them not only get longer totality, but it lets them look at the eclipse using different types of light. So as well as visible light, they're going to be looking at infrared light, which means they're above the part of the atmosphere that the water vapor blocks infrared light. So they're able to get these really, really high resolution, really fast images of the lower corona like we wouldn't see on the ground.
Amazing. It looks like they're in space.
All right.
All right, we're going to hear more from Dr. Carr in just a minute. Let's head to break here. We're going to see more totalities coming up.
Of Eclipse Across America continues after this.
From the National Weather Desk, this is live coverage of the eclipse across America.
Welcome back. Totality has now arrived here in the United States. Over the next hour, the shadow will move from Texas to Maine.
That's right. This will give you goosebumps even watching. Right now, places along the path near San Antonio are dark or about to become dark. Let's join live coverage from our stations in Austin and San Antonio as they get reaction to totality.
PI sounding rockets office here at Walsh
this is what they're saying. But the
in
other
preparation
issue here is
for
sound,
our APEP
right?
mission,
when we were
the
talking
atmospheric
about
perturbations
the blind,
around the
being able to
eclipse
hear
path
it
here
and
at
to
NASA.
experience the eclipse like that. But whether you can see it or not, just the idea of the quietness and the stillness, there is something to be said for having that in your life, whether it's for 4 minutes, 34 seconds, or an hour and a half. The idea that you can just sit and sort of calm everything down. We heard Chris eloquently describe it earlier. I don't know if it was this morning or earlier at noon, but talking about just, it's an experience. It's an emotional, and in many ways it's been described as a religious experience. Whether you feel that way or not, the emotion of it is certainly something that you can enjoy with, hopefully, friends and family.
I'll tell you what, it is really fun as we've been going to a lot of these different shots today with our crews to see everybody heads up, glasses on, eyes to the sky, all doing the same thing.
Look at that. And
this is still Eagle Pass on the left-hand side.
And here in San Antonio,
when I said it was darker 2 minutes ago, it's even darker now. It's just going to continue to do that as we get closer to totality here.
Look at that.
Look at Concan.
So,
completely dark.
yeah. So,
look at that.
I'm laughing because I'm thinking of the conversation we had earlier this week when you said, you're still going to get something, David.
Yeah.
You're still going to experience.
It looks like
it is 12 o'clock at night.
We weren't sure just
There it
how
is.
dark it
Wait,
was.
let's listen
Corona!
Let's listen
We
in.
got a Corona!
They're excited. They're yelling Corona.
So
That's,
they
I don't know
have
if
a
you can
break
see
in the
it.
clouds there, and they are experiencing totality, or just about. They must have
Look
gotten
at- you
a
can
full
hear 'em.
picture of that. Wow, it just gave me chills to hear
Yeah.
them all cheering.
Guys, are we, when I say guys, I'm talking to our producers in the booth. Are we able to go live to Chris and Mandy to see what they're...
I'm hearing you guys. I can go live.
So what are you seeing? Can you tilt the camera?
love
Can we
it.
see that?
Love
Corona?
it.
Okay, you can hear me. Great.
Yeah, we can hear
Yes.
you.
You
That
guys,
looks
all right,
amazing.
we're live right now. Everybody give us a cheer. This is amazing.
Mandy, can we see the Corona up there?
So, I don't know, I think you guys might have seen it for just a second, and I said, look, 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 and all of a sudden we saw it. Fire? And it's just, you know, it is so cool. There's people with their phones out, so I heard you say, is that a fire? No fires. Somebody's got their phones. This is the wildest thing, though, because we went from having the sun, and then all of a sudden the birds took flight, and it started getting darker and darker, and now it's just pitch black, which is what we knew was going to happen, but it's weirder being in it, right?
Do you hear the distant roaring around our location, too?
Yeah.
Everyone enjoying it and taking in these moments.
Yeah.
Not just here on our deck, but around us. We could hear all the eclipse parties.
Chris, you were
And that moment we had of the sun, with just that little hint of the outline, a little bit of the corona,
So worth it.
outer atmosphere, so cool. So cool. And the temperature has dropped. We're down 4 degrees from our peak.
Fast.
Very fast. And Chris, you've been talking to us all morning about the emotions of this all. What's
If we
going
could
through?
luck into one more.
What's going through your mind right now, looking at
I don't
this?
have my IP in right now.
Mandy,
Oh,
can you...
there it
Look at
is.
that.
Oh,
There it
back.
is.
It's back.
Right there. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Well, that answered that question.
So lucky. So lucky right
There's
now.
the emotion.
Look at that.
Wow.
And
Oh my gosh,
I
it's
think
so
the way
beautiful.
it comes and goes almost makes it more dramatic.
Wow.
Yeah. Whoever, I think that was Chris Suchan, but whoever said the word lucky.
Yeah, we can see the
I think
stars.
that
Seeing
is
stars.
incredibly
See a few of the
appropriate.
stars. There's one right
humble.
there.
It's Bernie now.
Look
We're
at
taking
Bernie.
a look at Bernie.
Pitch black there and Bernie now too.
We were just showing
And
you
Jeanette's
shots of
out.
this a minute or two
can get one
ago,
more break.
and you could still see what was going on. You could see the lake there.
Let me try to call in.
And this
Here's
is a
what looks
shot
like-
from Kerrville. Looks like they are experiencing totality right now.
Just again, a reminder, we have 6 or 7 cameras and crews set up all over South Texas in different parts. So you're seeing Kerrville, and we're going to jump around and see what they're seeing as that path of totality sort of makes its way through Texas. This is UTSA.
Look how dark
Again,
it
this
is.
is
Look
an
how
area
dark
where
it
they
is.
weren't expecting very much at all, and this is certainly breathtaking, humbling.
So we are at 134 right now. That is when we were supposed to start experiencing totality right here in San Antonio from 134 until 130. Inside our studio door right now. It's pitch black in our parking
Pitch
lot.
black.
We've got the parking lights on out there, and
This is Concan again. As we
Wow.
jump
I got
jump
chills,
back on.
guys. Look at this.
Jeanette, are you, let's see if our microphone's on. The temperature and what you're feeling from just a meteorological point of view, it's done predicted, yes?
So I opened up the door, and it's funny because the birds around here, turning around their necks. They're like, what's going on? What's going on? It's almost completely dark.
That's incredible.
Yeah, it's completely dark. The temperature has cooled down. At the top of the noon show, it was at 76. It's closer to 73. Still muggy outside.
Woo.
So despite the clouds, go outside, it's dark.
And there's some fireworks at UTSA too.
Just let that statement sink over. 1:35 in the middle of an April afternoon,
Right.
we're looking at
At
fireworks.
fireworks.
They're
Visible
absolutely
fireworks.
gorgeous.
And look at that shot. Where's that?
that looks like
Okay, but
This I believe is the Concan
that's
shot.
Concan, yeah. That's just
the
incredible.
cheers, the emotion.
That's Bernie.
This is Bernie. I got to be honest. I'm taking. I was a little leading up to this thinking, well, the clouds are covered, how good could it be? What are we going to see?
So, you know, I have a hard time believing that. You came in this morning at 5 a.m. and he was handing out glasses to everybody like it was Christmas morning.
There's a giddiness here.
Beautiful.
As folks...
We're looking at Bernie.
All right, so Mandy and Chris, who have been in Concan, I got to ask Chris. Chris, can you hear us?
There they are. Hey, the lights are back on.
Chris, everything's light again.
So a shout out to you.
That's right. Totality's done.
A shout out to you. Earlier in the morning, you set the stage. You kind of set it up to where you promised essentially this emotional experience, this visceral experience that people will feel.
Back here to the National Weather Desk coverage in Washington, D.C. We want to talk to our expert that we have here on set. We had some great views there from Texas, where totality is just happening finally here in the United States. Things are going to move quickly now. NASA solar physicist Dr. Graham Kerr is joining us to talk about some of the stuff that we're seeing here in these images. So what did we just see out of Texas?
So what we saw there was totality. So the moon was completely covering the sun, and instead of having all that bright disk, all we could see was the sun's outer atmosphere. What was really neat in those pictures is you probably saw that kind of red glow around the disk as well as the corona. That means we're seeing two parts. We're seeing the wispy white part of the corona, and the red part is the chromosphere, and that's the thin, kind of really dynamic part below the It was really cool you could see both, and it was looked like it was peeking through the clouds, which is great for all my colleagues who are down in Texas.
I was going to say, chromosphere is your jam, right?
Yeah.
This is what you study, so you're pretty excited about seeing this.
So that is really, you know, what we're able to see of the sun. But for locations along the path of totality, there can be a lot more in the sky that we can check out, i.e. some of our planets, Mars, Mercury. What are some of the other planets?
That's right. So it's actually a bunch of the planets are going to be kind of in the right place to see. The brightest ones will be Venus and Jupiter. But if we're lucky, if you've got really clear skies and your eyes are adapted enough, you might also see Mars. You might see Mercury, although Mercury is quite dim. There's also a comet out there, so Comet 12P, that is going to be, I think, on the top left of the sun, if you kind of see a comet with two little tails. So there are, there's a bunch of other things going on in the sky because the sun is no longer outshining everything that we can see.
Yeah, so in some ways that would be the ultimate, to see everything all at once in the sky, which is really during the day.
Yeah, I know. It's hard to believe, right in the middle of the afternoon. All right. Is going to be amazing in Maine. We want to head up there, and plenty of eclipse chasers have even changed their plans and headed north to Maine. Now, Portland's not actually, but Rangeley in western Maine is Rangeley, I'm sorry. The town, which sits halfway between the equator and the North Pole, reaches totality just before 3:30. Portland reporter Mal Meyer joins us now. Mal, are crowds any bigger than expected out there?
Well, you know, in talking to the town manager and even the Chamber of Commerce last week, I felt like they were kind of trying to tamp down expectations of this, right? They didn't want to say we're going to see absolutely gigantic crowds and maybe nobody shows up, or, you know, say too little and then all of a sudden everybody's here. You know, they were expecting somewhere maybe a few thousand people. Some estimates had it even higher, but looking around here, I mean, it's been jam-packed. We've been here for hours now at the scenic overlook. We're about a mile outside of the downtown kind of area, if you will, of town. There are plenty of people here. People have been posted up here since the early morning. I wouldn't be surprised if some people even tried to snag their spot last night because the parking lot is absolutely packed. We have cars on the street as well. And that goes down for quite some time. Now, earlier today, I brought a map with me, and I want to show you guys because we've been asking people where have they traveled from. Obviously, we knew that you know, people might come from, you know, other parts of Maine where, you know, the drive might only be a few hours, or New Hampshire or Vermont. But then, of course, you know, last week we saw the forecast, and a lot of the U.S. where the path of totality was running through, that was all covered in clouds. And so I've been talking to people. We've been getting some people as far away as San Diego down there. We had Utah, Arizona, Colorado, Texas. I know that we just heard it sounded like it was pretty spectacular down in Texas, but some people were looking at this forecast and thinking, oh my gosh, I need to get moving. I need to come to Maine. And so they came here and they were able to reroute. I had talked to one guy a short time ago. He was originally going to Rock, and he said, you know what? I'm not taking my chances. I'm going to come to Maine. They scoped it out on the map. They were able to find a place where they could stay overnight, and they were able to come. So a lot of excitement over here. I've also been asking people, just how many times they've seen the eclipse. We've had a lot of people who have said, I've never seen it, not once, not a partial, not a total solar eclipse. Other ones said, maybe I've seen a partial solar eclipse, but it wasn't that much. Others have been able to see the total solar eclipse, but it's been, in some cases, decades. So, once you see it, though, it is a spectacular sight. It's already started now, so in about an hour from now, we're going to be coming back and showing you that total solar eclipse. Reporting live in Rangeley, I'm Mel Meyer. Back over to you in the studio.
Thanks so very much. Right now we want to take you to Wallops Island in Virginia. NASA just launched one of 3 rockets before, during, and after the eclipse. Okay, so you've got another one that is going to be coming up a little later. The mission is to study aspects of the sun, the Earth, that can only happen during an eclipse. And one rocket goes up, of course, before, as mentioned, then you've got 2 more coming up. These are also going to be ejecting 4 soda bottle size instruments within the path of totality. Dr. Kerr, tell us what types of experiments, what measurements these will be taking.
Yeah, so these rockets are looking to understand what the ionosphere, which is a layer of the Earth's atmosphere that is full of charged particles. They're looking to see what the behavior is like before the eclipse, so that's what the rocket they just launched. What's going to happen during the eclipse is going to be a rocket launch while the totality is happening. And there's going to be a rocket launch after the eclipse to see how quickly things come back to their kind of natural state. And they're going to be measuring the density, how many charged particles there are, the temperature, and basically how the ionosphere responds to the sudden removal of the sun's light, because the sun's light, especially ultraviolet light, interacts with the ionosphere, kind of sets the size of the ionosphere and things like this. And so that changes during an eclipse.
Right, and during a typical day, we gradually go to darkness versus very abrupt like
That's right.
this. So there would be some changes in the atmosphere that we can't see.
Exactly. So these changes happen kind of on a cycle all the time, as you said, night and day. But when there's a sudden change in the ultraviolet and the optical light from the sun, you get disturbances. And in fact, during solar flares, that can happen too. So by studying under a very controlled environment of an eclipse, we can try to understand how does the Earth's atmosphere respond to space weather and things like that.
So we're trying to improve our space weather forecasting skills.
Yeah.
Awesome. All right, we're going to hear a lot more from you, Dr. Carr. We're going to keep picking your brain about all of this. I'm going to keep checking in with those paths of totality, all of our spots up through the path over the next hour
Look at
and 15
that, what's on the
minutes.
screen right now, Emily. Our coverage of Eclipse Across America continues in just 2 minutes. And welcome back to Eclipse Across America. Happy Eclipse Day. Now we want to return to some of the cities in totality. In just a few minutes, the skies will go dark in Hochtown, Oklahoma.
That's right. Oklahoma City reporter Katie Arata is there. We checked in with her earlier. Show us what's going on now, Katie. Oh, sounds very exciting.
Yeah, guys, we just got to the totality right now. People are cheering. You can hear them here around me. Everyone's so excited we're able to actually see the moon right now. We weren't sure if the clouds were going to subside enough, but as you can see there, we are able to see it. It just got a little bit cooler out. It feels a lot cooler than just a couple of minutes ago, and it definitely looks like nighttime out here. This is a crazy experience. People are taking pictures and just enjoying this for the next couple of minutes. We have a total of 4 minutes of totality, so we have about, I think it just happened just about a minute ago, so we probably have at least 2 or so minutes left, and we have our glasses ready for when it starts to move over, just to be safe. There we go, there's some light for you. So got our glasses. It's really dark out here. This is just a crazy experience, and definitely something that you will remember, for the rest of your life, for sure.
Katie's breath is taken away.
Yes.
I can tell when somebody's seen an eclipse for the first time because she's so excited and she just can't believe it's dark
so
in the middle of the
moving
day.
For so many people. I mean, there are people who are moved to tears when they see their first totality.
Yeah, all right. Well, just down the road, we also have, we want to check in with Joy Betterhausen, who's in Broken Bow. And I think totality happening there as well. Joy, are you there?
Yes, we are at totality right now. You can see my photographers got it on us. We have everyone taking photos, taking videos. It's kind of still. We got an applause at first, right when we reached totality, and then everything went still. We've got our street lights on. It is dark. It looks like nighttime, and this is definitely an event to remember. My photographer said, I get it now. I understand why people come to this. And this is my first time ever experiencing totality. We're downtown in Idabel right now, Oklahoma, and everyone is out. We did have a lot of festivities going on, food trucks, a lot of people setting up their telescopes, lining the parking lots, and now it's almost still. It was about 5 minutes ago, just before we reached totality, where we saw the birds kind of come out flying around looking for, spaces to go underneath, but it is just beautiful. We only have about 2 minutes or so to really look at this with the naked eye before we got to put our glasses back on. So everyone is just taking in this awestruck moment right now. I believe we have totality for about 4 minutes here in Idabel. We've been in it for about a minute or two. And grabbing those photos because our next one won't be until 5 within the state of Oklahoma. It's definitely silent right now, but I think we'll start to see, people picking up, the crowds picking up, lots of cheers once we get out of this, and I think we're all going to remember this moment forever. Once again, we're in downtown Idabel enjoying the sights, and I'm going to kick it back over to you guys.
Joy, we're just starting to see that diamond ring. I can hear those cheers. Can you tell us how it feels as a meteorologist? Can you feel it cooler? Do you notice anything around?
Yeah, oh yeah, no, we felt it start to cool off about, I'd say 20 to 30 minutes ago. You could definitely notice the difference. It was very hot. Temperatures are right around 80 down here. It was very steamy because we have storms coming in later tonight, so you could feel all the moisture starting to push in. But it feels almost like the Midwest, and we are in Oklahoma, right? Nice little breeze, nice cool air. It definitely doesn't feel like April, feels more like February around here. But now that we're out of totality, good chance we're going to start heating up again within the next 30 minutes.
And Joy, this is meteorologist Veronica Johnson here. I've got a question for you. Do you see a lot of people who are just taking it in the moment versus holding up their phones and cameras and trying to take photos of the event where they're just in the moment?
Oh yeah. I mean, you heard, the crowds go silent. Once we could view it with our naked eye and put the glasses down for a second, everyone was just looking up in awe. It was definitely a sight to see. First time for me to see it. I saw it back in 2017, but it might only been about 50%. So yeah, everyone kind of just put their phones down for a second, just took it in and really enjoyed the sights.
Joy, great job. Thanks so very much. And have a blast out there. Okay.
So cool, that quiet kind of gave me goosebumps because the chills, of like the cheering crowd, but then the silence. I haven't heard that before.
All right, we're going to check in now with our live coverage in Arkansas as we join KATV in Little Rock, Arkansas.
Oh my God. And we have totality in Arkansas, and take off your glasses. There's the diamond ring
and
effect.
The diamond ring effect.
There it is.
Brilliant.
We've got 4 minutes of this. Enjoy.
We have 360 sunrise around us.
Yep.
Look in every direction.
Mm-hmm.
The
I've
colors
never
of the
seen
atmosphere.
anything like this, guys. We have talked about years. It's even better than you could have anticipated. Look at that.
The corona of the sun. You see the rays emitting out from the sun, the gas that emits out, and you're looking straight at it. We hear fireworks in the distance. Okay, there's Venus, there's Jupiter. And I think you'll start to see a few more stars then popping out as your eyes adjust.
There's one. Look how beautiful the horizon is if you're anywhere where you can see it.
Oh, my gosh. I'm at a loss for words.
Yeah. Absolutely still. Listen for crickets and, you know, the animals, insects, they think it's nighttime.
You're watching live coverage of the eclipse across Texas, sponsored by Visit Uvalde County, Texas.
In Arkansas, this
Welcome
will
back,
last
everyone.
anywhere from 2 minutes to about 4 minutes and 15 seconds. But it's the best 4 minutes and 15 seconds of your life. Look at the craft. Is that I wonder if that's a satellite or a...
Oh,
Yeah, some of the people are saying what planets. I think the big one to the right, I believe, is Jupiter, and then you've got, I believe, Venus over to the left side, if you're looking out there. You have to tell you, I've got clouds, and with clouds, you can't see it quite as well, but it's even darker outside. But this is, it's unbelievable. You can see little pieces of light coming. We're still not past. We still have plenty of time to go right here in the middle of the shadow.
I'm seeing a lot of flashes twinkling over here. I wonder if that's some of the craft that have been up to do research.
Yeah, I think so.
Balloons. A lot of, some of the balloons.
This is a long 4 minutes.
First timers, how does it compare to your expectation?
I'm savoring every second of this. It's unbelievable.
I'm just hoping everything goes back to normal, Barry.
It's hard to believe it's 1:52 Central Time on a Monday afternoon in Arkansas. Totality is followed by third contact. That's when the moon will start to move away from the sun's disk, revealing the bright light. And as soon as you see that bright light again, you're going to want to put your eclipse glasses back on to protect your vision. But in the meantime, we can savor this without the glasses.
I'll never forget this moment, sharing this with you guys, the team with the most experience.
It is a privilege.
This is an experience to add to that, for sure.
Yeah, you can tell, I think we're back up on camera, but you can tell just how dark it is. Now, I don't want to be the bearer of bad news, but in the distance to the southwest, you're starting to see it getting a little bit lighter because the shadow's leaving that southwestern part of the state. I'm so glad that we're in the middle of the path, but no matter what it is, it's just amazing.
We do hope that you're enjoying this at home as much as we are here in Conway County at the Winthrop Rockefeller Institute, Arkansas, as thousands, millions enjoy the path of totality through our state.
And Melinda, you mentioned that there is another
totality
city
in Arkansas right now. Dr. Kerr, we've been saying totality now for a couple of minutes. There's some cloud cover there. It looks like a little bit of cloud cover, but folks are still able to get just enough of it to get some great views and probably some great photos. For that location, 1 in every 400 years there might be a totality happening in any one location in the U.S. Why so long? Why do we have to wait so long for that?
That's primarily is mainly water. And so the chances of an eclipse happening where people live is just tiny because it only happens once every 18 months or so. And as we've seen in some future eclipses, the next eclipse in the States is going to be in 2033. And that's total eclipse. 2033, but it's only going to cross some really narrow swath of Alaska. So sometimes it only crosses really narrow parts, sometimes for not very long. And so it's just kind of on average every 400 years or so. Although, as we've seen with the 2017 eclipse, there's a few places in the States that have had it only by a few years separated. Remarkable.
It does feel, when people say once in a lifetime, I'm like, well, I kind of saw one a few years ago. It doesn't feel that long ago. Let's talk a little bit about the citizen science that's going on during this eclipse. Can you explain what that is and how people who aren't scientists are helping NASA learn more about this?
So, citizens and scientists like myself ask for help from average people who might not know much about science, but they've got an interest and they want to help. And so, of course, there's a bunch that NASA do all the time, but we have some eclipse-focused citizen science efforts going on right now that you can still help with. So if you have not reached totality in your locale yet, you can still help. And so one example is called SunSketcher. And so you can download the SunSketcher app, and you can take images during totality. Your phone's metadata will send the pictures and all that information to some of my colleagues, and they're using that data of the first contact of Bailey's bead, beads of light.
We're going to check back. We're going to check back with you in just a minute. We got to go to break right now, but we want to hear the rest of that right afterwards.
From the National Weather Desk, this is live coverage of the eclipse in America.
And good afternoon. It's now 3 o'clock in the east, 2 o'clock Central Time, and we're 5 minutes before totality leaves the United States.
It is happening right now. The partial eclipse, as the moon moves away from the line between the sun and the earth, will continue in some places until 4 o'clock.
And total began about 1 minute ago in Carbondale. Julia Rozier, she joins us now live. Julie, describe what you're seeing and how people are reacting. Looks like totality maybe it started there?
Yeah, that's right. Totality is happening right now here in Carbondale, Illinois. We want to give you a quick look because the countdown is on until the end of it. Now take a look at the sky. You can see it's gotten incredibly dark, almost as if it is sunset here in Carbondale. You can see it is absolutely beautiful. It's a little bit quieter than it was in here in the stadium earlier. People are taking in the moment of a once-in-a-lifetime unique experience at Saluki Stadium in Carbondale. Totality is only expected to last for about 4 minutes and 10 seconds. But people here have been excited
all day for it. The stadium here fits 15,000 people, and there's over 11,000 people that came to Carbondale to watch the solar eclipse. But you can see people are out pointing at the eclipse, looking at it, taking pictures, taking in the moment.
Really
it's very, very beautiful. There's been entertainment here today. Back to you.
All right. Thank you so much. That really is special. So Carbondale will stay in totality for 4 minutes. I said, you know, it's something that really is marvelous. It's wondrous to see how...
We were talking about once in a lifetime, but Carbondale, this is the second time in, what, 7 years that they've gotten a total solar eclipse?
How often does that happen where there might be one location that gets it relatively close within a...
I'm sorry. Probably more often than we think, but I don't know, sorry.
All right, so Dr. Kerr, you're in science, and where people can still take advantage of helping out NASA learn more about the eclipse. Can you finish that?
Yeah, sure. So, so this app, you'll take images of totality as it starts and as it ends, and my colleagues will use that information to measure the shape of the sun very, very precisely. And it might sound kind of weird. You might ask, do we know what the shape of the sun is? But we're trying to do it to better than 1 part in a million. And that's because we need that precision to really understand what flows and things are like on the sun, because the sun's actually a gas, it's not a solid body. And so there's actually peaks and troughs on the sun's surface. And knowing that information to better than 1 part in a million will really help us understand things like how the solar cycle works, how solar features are formed. And so you all can help with that. If you're not reached totality yet, you can download the Sun Sketcher app.
But it's almost like it is, you know, it's ever moving, right?
Yeah.
Because of the atmosphere. So how does NASA describe the shape of the sun?
Almost spherical, but it is oblate, which means it's slightly squashed at the poles. And in fact, it's because of that, it's because it's a gas where the poles are moving slower than the equator. That's why solar activity happens, we think. So the sun's magnetic field gets dragged up and twisted and stores a bunch of energy, and that's what creates the corona that we see here.
So we were talking about space weather prediction and knowing when solar flares are going to impact Earth and how there's still a long way to go here with that science.
Yeah.
We kind of got there with weather forecasting, I don't know, like 50 years ago.
That's right.
Was invented. Do you think in 50, 60 years that we'll get to that point with space weather prediction?
I hope so. So we've been doing a lot of work in that effort to try to do it, and we're using lots and lots of data. And the more data we get from the sun, the better our predictions can get. And especially now that we have machine learning techniques, there's a lot of my colleagues are putting in all of the data from all the various sources we have into some machine learning networks to try.
Would that even help us predict the northern lights?
Yes. Are kind of enhanced by solar activity. Right. And so if we know there's going to be more solar activity, we'll know there's going to be more intense or northern lights, or even the oval will expand, so more parts of the country can see them.
I say that, Dr. Kerr, because I'm really counting on a great forecast for 2026. Iceland 2026.
Ooh.
I want the northern lights and I want a total solar eclipse.
I want good pictures from you. That's on my bucket list for sure. That's amazing. So that's kind of a perk that comes out of it. Talk about some of the drawbacks too. Everybody kind of lost it a while back when AT&T stopped working for a little bit, and there were some rumors out there that it had to do with solar activity. Can you talk about what is impacted when there is this increased solar activity, if there is a flare, if there is a storm, a CME?
So I think that particular case wasn't actually the sun, but the sun can affect technology in various different ways. And so if there's a flare that the Earth's ionosphere can expand, that can cause enhanced drag on satellites, so satellites can get lost or go off course. And so it's important that we let satellite operators know this might happen. You can get what are called the circuitry on satellites can get damaged by single event upsets. And so again, we can put them in safe mode. In terms of projections, if they impact the Earth in just the right way, that can induce currents in the atmosphere. That can affect power generation, transformers and power stations. It can make GPS not work. And that's important from anywhere from precision agriculture, if you're a farmer trying to plant your seeds every fixed distance, to emergency services responding to hurricanes. As we saw, these these can all get affected.
Yeah,
All right.
so important.
Can't wait
So
to
many
learn more
things that
about
are
that.
impacted.
I think we're just less than a couple of minutes away now from Totality in Ohio. We're going to join our team in Columbus, Ohio. They're covering the eclipse from Maryville to Marion and Indian Lake. Let's listen into WSYX.
But I came from South Carolina. And you came from South Carolina. Now, do you know these people? This is my son and my daughter-in-law. Son and daughter-in-law. Now, son over here, you have the better view out of all of us because you're one of the tallest people here. Is it any nicer this much closer to the moon and the sun?
Yeah, I feel a lot closer to it.
You feel a lot closer. Are you going to have a very special time with your family today?
Absolutely.